And then I will go ahead and start our meeting now. So, okay, so welcome to the Hadron Ion T seminar series. And we're very happy to have Dien Nguyen with us today from Jefferson Lab. She will speak with us about the neutron spin and the Electron-Ion Collider. Dien, please, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to organizer for the invitation. This is definitely a great opportunity for me to share with all of you our new study of helium-3 at the EIC. We will focus on the neutron spin using a new measurement we call double spectator tagging. So this project is carried on by many great collaborators from MIT, JLab, BNL, and also with Jennifer at LBNL. And this is a part of the physics program for both EIC, the yellow report, and also for HE proposal. So with that, let me start with a very brief introduction about EIC, our next generation, the QCD machine. So versatility and the high luminosity are the key of this new facility. And it has many great features listed below. So the first thing, like it has a very large coverage in center of mass energy. For the ion beam, it has a wide coverage from the light to medium to heavy nuclei. It also can provide the high polarization for both electron and for the proton for ion beam. So with all this great feature, it will able to provide a unique opportunity for both polarized and unpolarized measurement. So for spin study, we will focus on the polarized measurement. So in this feature, it is showing the current, the polarized DIS data, and also projected the coverage region of the EIC. So with this figure, we can see that with EIC's measurement, we will able to cover the unreached the region with the from the current data. So with the better data in wider kinematic range, we will able to have better data to understand the nucleon structure and better understand about the QCD. So in terms of the physics goals, the EIC will try to address the three main questions: is the origin of nucleon spin and nucleon mass, and also property of dense system of the nucleon. So in order to answer all these questions, a very comprehensive the physics program will describe in the yellow report. So I highly recommend you to check it out. And I believe that most of you noted that there are a lot of efforts is ongoing for the both HE and antenna to provide the EIC detector proposal. And I believe that all of you are very busy for the December 1 deadline last week. So we know that there are a lot of things to measure to understand nucleon structure. And in this talk, I will just focus on one small piece in the big picture is the neutron spin. So before that, I want to discuss about how we study nucleon in the general. So the structure function like F1, F2, G1, G2 are the fundamental component for understanding a strong interaction in the QCD. So this picture is showing the F2 structure function of proton. So as you can see that we have about over 5 order of magnitude in the both H and Q square coverage for this data on the proton. And it is very high precision data. So even though this one is not a single measurement, we can see that it can show us we have pretty good data measurement to study the proton structure. But what is the situation with the neutron? It is very different. We have a very little data on the neutron and we have a very large uncertainty. So the challenge comes from the fact that we don't have a free neutron target. It is not stable particle, so it cannot be accelerated to be the effective beam or can stay contain itself at the effective target. So the traditional way we study the neutron structure is that we will do the measurement on the light nuclei like neutron or the helium-3, and then we will do the extraction in order to isolate the information of the neutron inside nuclei. But the issue is that the extraction is very challenging, is the first thing. And second is that it is required to have a very good understanding about many different nuclear effects. That's why the extraction, it can introduce really large uncertainty. That will limit it from the understand the structure of the neutron. So this is a situation in the one of the measurement on the F2 function, and it also very much the same when we take a look at the polarized structure function G1. What is very important to study the spin the structure. So this figure here is showing the raw data from G1 function on the proton, neutron, and the neutron as well. So as you can see on the bottom plot here, we have a very few measurements on the G1 polarized structure function of neutron, and all of them have a very large uncertainty. So again, the uncertainty here, it comes from the extraction and it is model depend on different the nuclear correction you put into the extraction. So with this current situation, we need to have a novel measurement what can minimize the nuclear correction that can help us to have a better like more precise data on the neutron in order to have a spin to study spin structure of the neutron. And on top of that, we know that we need both data from proton and neutron in order to do flavor separation. So this is the situation and we need to solve it. So there are a type of the measurement is called the tagging measurement. It has been increasingly used in the recent year, and that type of measurement can may help with the situation. So now let me introduce to you what is the tag measurement and why it can help with the current situation on the neutrons measurement. So this is the diagram of the spectator tagging DIS measurement. So in this measurement, the high energy electron coming in interact with nucleon inside nuclei. So final state particle is a scattering electron and the different, the recoiling hadron system here. So the first step, we will detect this scattering electron in order to select the DIS event. So in order to select the DIS event, we need to put some the condition on the kinetic variable at IQ squared and W. But now that is the first step to select the DIS event only. Now we will also detect the outgoing target nucleon. This is what we call the tag measurement. So in the summary, the DIS tag event is detecting both scattering electron and the outgoing target nucleon. And this one are spectator nucleon inside nuclei. So the next question I want to address here is that what is the advantage of this tagging measurement and why it can help to minimize the nuclear effect? So the first thing, when we do this tagging measurement by detecting the spectator nucleon inside nuclei, we will be able to isolate what is the active nucleon in the interaction. For example, if the nucleus is a neutron, we detecting the neutron as spectator tag, then we are making sure that the nucleon in the active nucleon in this interaction is a proton. On top of that, in the nuclear red frame, the total momentum of the all nucleons are equal to 0. So if we detect the tagging, the spectator proton, the total momentum of all the spectator nucleon can be approximately equal to initial momentum of the active nucleon inside interaction. So with this measurement, if we can put the constraint on the total momentum of the spectator tagging, it also means that we can put constraint on initial momentum of active nucleon in the interaction. So if we can constrain the momentum of the initial momentum of active nucleon in interaction to the low momentum, then we can have an almost on-shell nucleon. Or another way, this double tagging measurement will able to provide the effective the nucleon target what is not readily in the nature, like effective neutron, the neutron target. So this tagging measurement, it will be a novel proof of the platonic structure function study, and it also can be used for the pion kaon structure function as well. But that is not what I will discuss in this talk today. So now the next question is that, so this is the idea about the tagging measurement, how we are going to do the tag measurement. So it is different between the fixed target measurement and the collider measurement. So in the fixed target measurement, we can use the recoil detector in order to detect the spectator tagging. And in the collider frame, we will need the forward detector region. So this technique have been used in several experiments in JLab. For example, in the bonus experiment, where they do and the JLab band experiment, both of them are using neutron, and they do the different type of tagging depend on what they want to study. For example, for the JLab bonus experiment, they tag proton for the quasi-free struct nucleon. So they want to extract the ratio F2N over F2P. And for the band, on other way, they will tag the neutron with the high recoil momentum, so they can study the EMC effect of the deeply bound struct proton. I just want to emphasize one thing here, that this technique is possible at the fixed target, but it's really challenging. And so far, it only have done with the neutron. And the reason it becomes very challenging with this measurement is that if you want to detect this spectator with really low momentum, in the fixed target frame, this low momentum tagging, it may not able to survive when it travels to the target material in order to be detected. But now we go to the collider experiment like EIC, the situation will change significantly. The reason is that at the collider, collider experiment like the EIC, the spectator nucleon, it also get accelerated, and it will carry the really large momentum as well. And that will be easier to detect this spectator proton in the lab frame. So in order to detect these the spectator nucleon, the thing is that they will carry almost all the momentum of the ion beam, and they travel with a really small angle along the along the beam line. So for the EIC, they have a specific detector region, what we call far forward detector region. It is really far away from the interaction point, and it is the design to detect this specific type spectator tagging event. So this the far forward detector region, it is a component. It has many different components. What gives it capability in order to detect both the neutral and the charge spectator tagging. So for example, like the proton, it will able to detect in the P0 of momentum detector and Raman port. And for the neutron, it will able to detect at the 0 degree kilometer. So there are many detailed information about the detector region were described in the EIC report, and also in the 2 detector proposal coming soon. So I highly recommend you to check that out for the requirement on the resolution and all the other technical detail in order to see how we will use it, the far forward detector region, in order to perform tagging measurement. So at this point, I hope that I already show you a general picture in how we study the structure of nucleon and difficulty we have on the measurement of the neutron, the spectral neutron, the structure function. And I also try to bring up that tagging measurement can be one of the channel. It can help us to deal with the difficulty in the current situation. So now I will come back to our focus is how we are going to apply all of this idea on the tagging measurement to study the neutron spin. So in order to study the neutron spin, there are one of the observable we can call H1 asymmetry that can give us the access to the G1 function, the polarized structure function. So H1 asymmetry here is the ratio of the difference to the sum of the cross section in which spin of the electron and the target are the anti-parallel or parallel together. So at really high Q square, at the very high Q square, this A1 asymmetry can approximately equal the ratio of the G1 to the F1 structure function. So F1 here is the unpolarized structure function and G1 is polarized structure function. So if we measure the A1 asymmetry and we have a very precise measurement on the unpolarized F1, we will be able to extract the G1 structure function. So this plot is showing Hollywood data we have so far from the fixed target measurement on the A1N. So traditionally, so far, when we want to study the neutron, the spin structure, helium-3 target is the preferred target. The reason is that for polarized helium-3, almost 90% of polarization of the nuclei is coming from this single neutron. So helium-3, polarized helium-3 can be used as affected the polarized neutron target in the fixed target measurement. So the idea of the traditional way to measure the neutron spin structure, neutron asymmetry A1 is that we will do the measurement, the A1 asymmetry on the helium-3 using the DIF, the inclusive event. And after we obtain the A1 asymmetry from helium-3, we will extracted the A1N information. So this formula I'm showing here is a very simple approximation to show you how the A1N and A1 helium-3 are related to each other. So the idea is that now, like I mentioned before, in order to extract this A1N asymmetry from A1 helium-3, we need to have many different other input ingredients in this measurement, like the F2 function from the proton, from neutron, from helium-3, as well as asymmetry measurement from the proton, and it also affected polarization of the neutron and the proton inside helium-3. So the uncertainty on this extraction is the combination of all the uncertainty, systematic uncertainty from all of these models into the extraction process. So now, if we're breaking out the different contribution of the different model dependent uncertainty on A1N extraction and the toy picture is showing here. So you can see that the larger the uncertainty coming from the affected polarization of the proton and neutron inside helium-3. Especially at the high H value, see the contribution of the affected our understanding about the affected polarization is the dominant, and it can be at the same level as statistic uncertainty. So even though like the polarization of the helium-3 is dominated by the neutron, and the only small contribution of the proton in the total, the the like, remaining proton the polarization. But for example, here at the high act, the asymmetry of the proton is getting bigger. So that is why even with very small contribution of remaining affected polari of proton, it still can contribute a very large uncertainty in the interaction of the A1N. So in order to nail down and to minimize the uncertainty from this, we need to have a better understanding and or better calculation of the affected polarization of the proton and neutron. So this understanding heavily depends on how we understand the ground state of the helium-3. And we have another issue on that. So on the right-hand side is showing asymmetry, the quasi-elastic double spin asymmetry measurement from the helium-3. So this asymmetry measurement is really sensitive to the ground state of helium-3. And the data, this is showing the data and calculation, the comparison. So even a state of art calculation, the best calculation we have at this point doesn't have a good agreement with the data. So this means that we still don't have a really good understanding about the ground state of the helium-3 in order to nail down this uncertainty. So before we have a better understanding about this ground state, another way to nail down this uncertainty is going with some type of measurement. It can minimize the nuclear correction in the interaction. So that is why now we want to apply the idea of tagging measurement in this measurement. So how and what we should tag in order to minimize this A1N asymmetry. So now we know that for neutron asymmetry, we want to study using the helium-3 polarization. So now, if we want to study the neutron, we have to isolate the signal from neutron to the other component is the two protons inside the helium-3. So what tagging we want to do here is the double spectator tagging. So like I mentioned, when I describe about tagging measurement, we can tag different components depend on what the active nucleon we want to isolate in the reaction mechanism. So now, if we are able to tag both spectator proton, then we are making sure that the nucleon, the active nucleon in interaction is the neutron. And the second step is that we will take the total momentum of these two spectator protons in order to put constraint on this total momentum of two spectator protons in order to constrain the absolute of the neutron in interaction so that we will be able to have an effective polarized neutron target and consider as the direct measurement of A1N asymmetry that could help us to spread the nuclear correction. What is the biggest issue we have in the traditional method of measurement? So that is the why and how we're going to measure asymmetry using double tagging spectator. So the first thing we do simulation in order to see the distribution, the momentum angle distribution of this event. Because we need to detect both the electron and two spectator protons, so we check the momentum and angle of all of these three final particles. So on the top plot here, it is showing the scattering angle and the momentum distribution of scattering electron. So you can see that with this angle distribution is coming to larger angle. So for scattering electron, we can detect it at the central detector. And now on the right side is the plot of the two spectator proton P1 and P2. So they're coming with really small angle and moving very forward. That is why we were able to detect both of these spectator proton at far forward detector region at the EIC. So in order to study feasibility of our double spectator tagging measurement at EIC, we need to have an event generator in order to generate this type of event to study it. So at that time, we are using an existing code called the class DIS event generator. So this event generator will use a lot at the class 12 analysis at the JLab, and it's able to generate the DIS event and semi-DIS event as well. But the issue is that the generator only can generate the event from free neutron and free proton, so no nuclear correction included. And they also assume that these nucleons are like standing, like no moving at all. So at that time, we have no existing the generator, what can be used for this study. So we need to build it by ourselves. So that is a step. This is one of the steps. It takes a lot of effort in order to build this generator. And I would like to give a credit for this task to our student at the he is PhD student at the MIT, Jackson Fiber. He spent a lot of time in order to make this generator for this study. So we call this generator is the Fermi. This step to update the current generator, we call it the Fermi motion correction. It really detailed. So in this talk, I will just describe a very general idea. And our paper was recently published in the Physics Letter B with a very detailed describe how we're doing that. So I recommend you to check that out for the detailed information. But now I can just have an outline about what have been done. So now the idea is that we want to do two things. First, we want to add the Fermi motion to like active nucleon. So that will be the nucleon moving inside helium-3. And second part of that, we need to have a spectator information. Mean that we need to able to calculate the momentum and the angle distribution of two spectator protons inside helium-3. So first step, we generated the scattering on the the neutron, and then we can add Fermi motion for that neutron and also calculate two spectator one. The thing is that helium-3, it has a very complicated breakup channel. Like it have a 2-body breakup channel, it have a mean field, like 3-body breakup channel, and it also have a SRC breakup channel. So we need to combine all of these reaction channel in order to create like our sample. So for the 2-body breakup and 3-body breakup, what we use as using the spectral function from Sophie and Kaptari. So from this spectral function, we will able to generate the active nucleon momentum distribution, and we also can use a life form algorithm, the formalism in order to calculate the spectator kinematic information. And for SRC breakup, we're using the generalized contact formalism in order to generate the momentum of the nucleon inside the SRC. So for the detailed information about the different kinematic regime and how we use that, we also using these two, the reference paper here. So if you have a more detail about what included on these, the spectral function and the contact formalism, please check these two papers out as well. So now, after we're able to add the Fermi motion on that neutron inside helium-3, and we're able to calculate the two spectator proton momentum distribution and angle distribution, we have a generator to generate a big sample event. So the next step is that we want to pass that sample event to the EIC simulation, in which it have a detailed detector design, so that step will help to take care of acceptance and resolution effect. So we will detect we will take the accepted event after full simulation and use that one as a pseudo data for our analysis. So for this simulation packet, I would like to give credit to two other postdocs, Evisa and Electron. They are the one put a lot of effort in the simulation part for this project. Yeah. So now, after all of this step, I would say that it takes a lot of work in order to come to this part, but now we have a pseudo data for our analysis. So what we want to do in our analysis? The first step, we want to check if we're able to detect the double spectator tagging event at EIC far forward region. So the thing is that the ratio of the charge to mass ratio of the proton are quite different compared to the helium-3 ion. So that is why the bending is pretty significant. So what I mean here is that we're able to separate the two spectator photons from the beam light, and it will travel a long way and able to detect at the far forward region. And the mode of the event for the two spectators will detect in the Raman port in our kinematic setting 541. And the position resolution of these two spectators is good enough in order to separate the two spectator photons. So now, after we able to detect those spectator photons at the far forward detection at the collider frame, so next step we are doing is that we boosted everything back to ion red frame. And then we take the sum of the momentum, the sum of three momentum of the two spectator proton. So these plots are showing the total momentum of the two spectator proton. So you can spectator proton. So as I mentioned that we will use the total momentum of the spectator tagging to constrain the initial momentum of active nucleon in interaction. So that is the next step. We put constraint on the total momentum of two spectator photons. So now we will apply a cut on this total momentum is smaller than 100 MeV. So by doing this double spectator tagging, the first thing we are doing is that we're able to separate the DIS event from neutron. And now with the constraint on the low total spectator momentum, we are having the DIS event from attracted polarized free neutron target. So this is the type of event we will use to extract the A1N asymmetry directly, which will minimize the nuclear effect. So in order to demonstrate the advantage of the double spectator tagging measurement, we do parallel analysis. What I mean here is that we select two separated event sample. For event sample, we are selecting the DIS event from electron on helium-3 without any requirement on spectator information. Using the cut on very standard cut for DIS event, the Q square bigger than 2, W square bigger than 4, and the Y is between 0.05 and 0.95. So this Y cut in order to have a good resolution area as well. So with the DIS event sample from electron on helium-3, we will perform traditional extraction method in order to extract it A1N from this A1 helium-3. In parallel, we will detect the second event sample, a double tagging sample. So with the double tagging sample additional to DIS cut, we will require the both spectator protons are detected and total momentum of the two spectator protons are less than 100%. Oh, sorry, less than 100 MeV. So with it, double spectator, we will have directly A1N asymmetry. And then we will compare the uncertainty of two methods to show that the direct measurement using double spectator tagging will have a significant smaller uncertainty compared to the traditional method of extracting the A1N. So after we select two separated samples, the next step is that we will bin them in both X and Q square. And then we scale them to the total luminosity of the EIC is 100 Fermi bar, invert Fermi bar here. So then in order to have a traditional extraction analysis, we need to have the model of the A1 helium-3. So in order to have that, this is all the input we are using for A1 and helium-3 prediction follows this formula. So we are using the different fit for the A1 and for F2 structure function. So you may notice here we use the fit for F2P, F2N here, and then we just do very simple calculation to extract F2N from these two F2P and F2D. So with this simple calculation, we didn't include nuclear effect. So the idea here is that we want to test this one with the simplest case, where we not even include all of nuclear effect in extraction yet. Then we can see that even with this simple case, how much we can gain by using double spectator tagging method. So later on, when we're adding more and more nuclear effect, definitely we will increasing the uncertainty in the traditional extraction. So it means that it will show even more advantage, like we will even gain bigger using the double spectator tagging measurement. So the first step I'm showing here is the asymmetry and only statistical uncertainty at the blue band here for A1 helium-3 extraction. I remind you again, this arrow band is only the statistic uncertainty. So you can see that with the luminosity of EIC, we can have really good statistics over the range of the XV. Next step, I'm showing you the extraction A1N from A1 helium-3. So this blue band here is extracted A1N from A1 helium-3. So you can, the arrow bar of this extracted A1N, it includes statistical uncertainty of helium-3 and also all the other systematic uncertainty of the input model into extraction. So it is a combination of two types of uncertainty. So the systematic uncertainty, it comes from F2, it comes from the PN, comes from PP, and all of this one. So it propagates to get this arrow band of A1N. So one thing I want to show you here is that even though we get really good statistic uncertainty on A1 helium-3, and this extraction process will blow up the error bar by a lot. Even though this is still very simple extraction formula, it means we not even include all of nuclear effect. So in reality, we have much more other nuclear effect like opsonate and something in the extraction. This error band will be even bigger than this. So now I will put this arrow band in the comparison with the A1N, the black band inside here is extracted is the measurement of A1N directly from the double spectator tagging. So because of the error bar here, it's kind of small. So then we have the bottom panel here to show the blue one is the uncertainty of absolute uncertainty of extracted A1N. And the black point here is the uncertainty of the direct measurement of A1N using double tagging measurement. So you can see that this measurement, the double tagging measurement definitely have a much smaller the uncertainty compared to the traditional extraction way. And we will definitely have an even bigger difference when we include more nuclear effect in the extraction. One thing I want to point out here is that, so we have the data from the fixed target at the high X region, like the valence region. That is very important to study QCD calculation. And with the EIC measurement, we also have a very good overlap covering in the high X, the valence X region. But for EIC, we will have a much larger Q square. So with this, the high Q square and overlapping in valence X region, it will be really good opportunity in order to compare to the current data from the fixed target measurement and study the Q square dependent of this asymmetry as well as the spin structure function. One more thing I want to show you here is that our EIC, the physics measurement, it not only covers the large range of the X, it also can extend to the low range of X as well. So this is exactly the same measurement, but we break it to the two regions. One is the X bigger than 0.1, and another plot on the left-hand side is for the region of the X smaller than 0.1. So you can see that it can extend to really low X region, even with the lowest energy setting of the EIC. And we even gain significantly the better uncertainty in the low X region as well. So with this result, I want you to take out the two messages, is that for EIC measurement, we can have really large coverage in X from low to the valence region. We have a larger Q square dependent, Q square the range to study Q square dependent. And with the double tagging measurement, we significantly reduce the model dependent uncertainty compared to traditional extraction using inclusive data. And we can gain around 10 times better uncertainty with X smaller than 0.1 and factor of 2 even more at the X bigger than 0.1. And there one more thing, we extend this study a little bit for different kinetic setting with actually the measurement. So this is the showing, this plot on the right side is showing you the coverage of the A1N as a function of both X and Q square for two different kinetic regions. For our paper, we already studied the 541. And now we have another larger kinetic region. So with this larger kinetic region, we can reach to even lower X range. And we also have really good coverage in the Q square too. So this type of data using double spectator measurement will provide very high precision data for global fitting, and that will be very valuable insight into the spin and flavor structure of the nucleon study. And in this work, we only pick one of the measurement, like A1 asymmetry measurement, to study feasibility of our double spectator measurement. But that is at the beginning of the program. With the double spectator, the measurement, we will do many more other potential physics. The first one in our list is the EMC, spin-dependent EMC effect. So there are one of them one of the assumptions is that the EMC effect, it depends on virtuality of the nucleon, virtuality of nucleon. So as I mentioned with you before, is that if we can control the total momentum of the spectator proton in helium-3, we will able, that also means that we can control the initial momentum of the active nucleon, of the neutron in the interaction. So by doing that, we can have a scanning on the initial momentum of the active neutron. It also means that we have a scan over the wide range of virtuality. So we can study this different spin structure function as the function of the virtuality and see that we can see any the EMC effect depend on this virtuality. So that is something we can do right away with the current pseudo data, but we need to sit down and doing that. So this is one of the next physics, potential physics we can do. I would like to discuss one more the physics case here, is that now we change what we don't use the double spectator neutron on two protons. But now what if we able to detect the neutron? We tag the neutron. What can we do with it? And I think the physics is very interesting as well. If we tag the neutron, it means that the nucleon in the interaction is the proton. So now we can control the initial momentum of this proton, like it either free or really upsell proton inside helium-3. So with that, with the tagging neutron, what we can measure here is the A1P from helium-3. And from this A1P, we will be able to extract the G1P. So why it's interesting? With this tag measurement, what we are doing is the G1P from bound proton. Then we can compare the G1P with the measurement from free proton. So then we can study like, oh, how's the difference of this like G1P from bound to the free proton. So I think that is something it is really good to do. And it's not just for the EIC. So at this point, I'm starting putting the effort with the other collaborator and try to check if we can do this type of measurement at the JLab as well, JLab Club 12, before we have EIC. So this is another the physics opportunity, and I cannot like one. I need to mention another big thing is the seeded measurement using the double tagging. At this time, we have a sort of idea about what we want to do about it. We may want to study spin and flavor dependent as a function of some PT or something, but we of the PT or from Z or the I to study like TMDs using the seeded measurement. And I just want to bring a general discussion here that the seeded measurement, the one challenge of the seeded measurement is how to interpret the seeded result due to how we do the nuclear correction inside the in nuclear to interpret seeded measurement. So if we can do this one with double tagging, many the seeded observable, but with the double tagging the measurement, we will also subtract the nuclear correction. So that one will help us to interpret the seeded result in more precise way as well. And it less model independent to the nuclear correction. So with that, I would like to say thank you very much to whole collaborator who have working together in this project. I think that is really great, the great team. We work together and we will drive this physics program to many more other potential physics. So in the summary, I would like to summarize the few points. The EIC is capable of the double tagging measurement, and the double tagging measurement is to minimize the model dependent for neutron spin study. and it gives us the line coverage in the X and the high Q square region. And one thing I forgot to mention here that the high X region were limited in this measurement is due to resolution. But there are some ongoing study in order to have a better resolution study, then we will able to extend the higher X value for the study. That will give us to closer to X equal to 1 for the valence region. And the double tagging measurement in specific and in general tagging capability of the EIC will provide a novel, broad, and many potential physics to explore. And with that, I would like to say thank you to JLab EIC Center, Nathan Eagle Fellowship, EIC Yellow, the Report Diffractive Tagging Group, such as Chen, Harut, and Barak for valuable discussion. And thank you again to great collaborators in this project. Yeah, with that, I stop here and take the question. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dien, for a wonderful talk. And so we have time for questions if anybody has them.
Oh,
Hi. So Fong, you have your hand up. Please ask your question.
yeah, Dan, very nice talk. Maybe I missed it. So are there any plans to do the tagging? I heard about tagging. There's a couple experiments. So are there any plans to do this tagging at JLab in the future experiment?
Yes. So one experiment, like we are trying to do at least one tagging neutron first from helium-3 at the JLab. So we are working on some simulation in order to find out if that measurement is doable at the JLab. Because but for double tagging, I think that it's nearly impossible to do at JLab with the fixed target, I think. Because for double tagging, we need to detect both of the two spectator protons, and the angle separated between them so small, and the momentum is so small. So I don't think we have a lot of hope on that at the JLab. But EIC is definitely the place to go. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, very good.
So in a sense, let me just conclude that. So for the large X region, actually, you won't have any new update from JLab experiment for A1 neutron.
A1 neutron. Actually, we can do that too. That is one of the things we want to do. What I think in our idea is that we want to do both A1D and the A1P for this measurement at the time. Yeah, from helium-3.
From helium-3. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, Shuji, please.
Hi, Dien, very nice talk. So as you mentioned, in the traditional fixed target tagging, it's very difficult to have good resolution on the low momentum tag the nucleons. So I'm not very familiar with the double spectator tagging with EIC. So what will be like the resolution in terms of the offshoreness you can reach? Like virtuality, yeah.
So at this point, I think like I have to admit I don't have an absolute answer for your question yet. But at this time, what we always check is the momentum and position resolution of that two spectator proton to see if we're able to separate them. But like in terms of resolution to separate it of cell effect, I think we still need to put more thought on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Douglas, please, your question.
This is just a comment. So there is absolutely new high X data coming from Jefferson Lab on A1N, D2N. It's just done in the classic way. So fully inclusive scattering, polarized helium-3 target. That data is being analyzed right now. So the beauty of the experiment that Dien has presented to us is tagging those two protons, which just dramatically reduces the model dependence on the extraction. And the thing I think is going to be really fun is at moderate X, there'll be an overlap between what we've done at Jefferson Lab with very high precision, high luminosity, and we can look at the result we get at the IIC. If I'm really measuring the neutron information, it should all come out the same. But in a pretty way, it'll be a test of our understanding of the three-body system and all the nuclear corrections we had to put in to do the extraction.
Yes. Thank you, Douglas.
Thank you. Feng, is that an old hand or a new hand?
Ah, okay. Since I didn't lower my hand, let me just add a comment. So I think this is very, very important in the sense that in future we have the tagged data and also inclusive measurement. So, and then once we have both data, we can actually do a global fit. In the sense that you can also study, I think Dien also mentioned this, you can study nuclear effects in the inclusive measurement. I think that will be beautiful. So since Doug already mentioned that you guys are doing analysis for the helium-3 data. So now your question, so how precision you can get compared to the previous 6GeV data?
That one, Douglas, I need to answer for that. I didn't follow that analysis closely. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah, that is like more like in the whole C1, and I'm trying to run it on program in the whole B. So somewhat connected, but not exactly.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
But maybe Douglas, can you answer that or no?
Yeah, if I was really quick, I'd put a link in to show the expected uncertainties. So if you look at the points they're projecting, so they basically continue onward from the 6GeV data where you got stopped around, let's see, Bjorken X around 0.6, 0.7. That's about as far as we could push. So the new data will continue up to 0.8, 0.85 Bjorken X, the nice small error bars that you've come to expect from JLab.
Thank you. That's good enough. And looking forward to that data, by the way.
Yeah, that's great. Are you doing some calculation on detail or global fitting for the G1 or G1P or G1N?
No. I think JLab have a perfect group there working on that, right? It's GN collaboration. You have a very strong theory group working on that. But it's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a question before somebody.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But will you show like slide 14 again? It's a 14? Question. Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
Didn't it's a question?
Let me see. 14. Which one is 14? Oh my. Let me see. Why this slide is missing the slide number? Oh, here we go. Yeah. Can you see my slide now?
No.
Oh, I turned it off. Let me share again. That. Yes, Jennifer.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm looking at this helium-3. I just wanted to know how do we know that the neutron is carrying the 90% of the helium-3 spin? Like, I didn't know how we figured that out.
Actually, that one is based on it is average of the many calculations as well. So I think that they are reference the paper about how they determine that number. I can send that to you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then also, like at the very or more towards the end, you were talking about the helium-3 breakup. Like doing a coarse grain on the types of breakup, that you can do. So what is the definition of the SRC breakup versus two-body? Are you doing a cut on relative momentum? What's going on?
Yes, we need to have a relative cut on the momentum, like the Fermi momentum of that like active nucleon, like here in this case, it's a neutron. We have cut off about 140 no, 240 or 250 as separated between mean field and SRC. The Jackson can correct me which number we use in the end, 240 or 250, Jackson?
I think we ended up using 240 because the normalization worked out better with our spectral function.
And then Jackson, and
It's
both
a small effect.
But I wasn't saying the cut between SRC and mean field, but the definition in between, even though that's helpful, thank you both, the cut between SRC and the two-body breakup, or is two-body breakup, included in the mean?
Two-body breakup is considered to be completely separate from either mean field or SRC three-body breakup.
So what's the difference between two-body breakup and SRC? How do you define them?
Just based on the number of particles in the final state. I think two-body breakup does have some high momentum component.
So it's a little bit.
In terms of the momentum distribution, there can be some overlap, I think.
Okay,
I
interesting.
don't recall if we looked in too much detail. But as John put in the chat, it's SRC breakup is assuming that it's completely down to it's completely separated into three particles in the final state, whereas two-body breakup has a bound deuteron.
Okay, I have to think about that. I don't see the chat right now. John, do you feel like answering also?
Oh,
no?
This is probably now I'm saying I think this is maybe based on the drawings that Dien's showing that I made that maybe make things look ambiguous.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, sorry. John's on shift. Okay,
but they're not the same. Don't get confused with blood.
I think that's my fault with those drawings. In one case, the two nucleons on top of each other are meant to say a bound deuteron in the final state. In the other case, the two nucleons on top of each other mean to say two nucleons at short range in the initial state. So,
yeah. Jackson, so sorry. I'm being really dense this morning. I was not on a shift, so I don't have any excuse. But I still don't understand. Did you just tell me the definition in between a two-body breakup and the SRC, and I just didn't get it?
Yeah, I mean, basically that two-body breakup, you are performing DIS off of one nucleon with a free deuteron being the spectator. In the SOC breakup.
So Jackson, you detect the free deuteron at the end. That's how you know what it was.
Yes.
Perfect.
Right. Or yeah.
Or
you don't detect it, but it still contributes to the total, cross section.
Thank you. Thank you both, all three.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So do we have any other questions? Okay, so Dien, thank you again very much. It was a great talk. And thanks everybody for being here.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining me. Yeah, thank you very much for invitation as well. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah. Oh, I think that John have some comment on the chat to have to answer the question too.
And then Dien, what did he say? Oh, I can access that too. I'm stopping recording, okay? Thank you.
Sure.